Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Comes to you live from the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon for August 14th, 2021, with your host, Peacemaker2448 and Rampant Epsilon.
I'm trying to figure out what I had on that screen last. I didn't have that set up right. Don't mind me. That should have been set up right. I always transition back to the title card. I don't know what happened there.
So, folks, we don't have a whole lot of news to talk about. Because apparently we are not allowed to do TGS the week of a Pokemon Presents or a Nintendo Direct. Because I think half the time they are after we do ours. Mm-hmm. So we gotta wait an extra week to talk about them.
Mm-hmm. And by that point we've already talked about them, so usually there's not much, but yeah, this is what we saw.
Yeah. There is a follow-up to a serious thing we talked about last time, and then some other news, including a thing I forgot to post last time because I had the tweet favorited, but I forgot to put it in the notes, and I figured, oh, I should put this in this time.
I mean,
because for reference, we'll talk about it more, but it's from an official Twitter that has existed for like 6 months now.
Oh, that thing.
Yes, I believe it's also the source of the article after it, if I recall correctly.
Probably.
So we have some fun things to talk about. But before then, Tommy, what have you been playing the last couple weeks?
Honestly, besides doing the occasional KH2 random, not a whole lot. I mean, Pokemon Unite. But that's mostly just been to do the dailies.
I need to get back more into Unite. I've fallen off, but it's been a stressful last couple weeks or so. Needless to say, so
I've kept going for the daily stuff and obviously in turn the battle pass stuff because I will get that skin. That's one of those I've sat down and looked at it, and yeah, pretty much doing the dailies. I'm pretty sure I can at least get close enough to where I'd be fine with maybe buying the rest of the tiers just to go ahead.
Yeah.
It's one of those, no, I am getting it one way or the other.
I'm still chipping away at Super Robot Wars T. I got back to it some more, did another split route, which the split route was essentially all the other shows on one path and then just the Gundam shows besides the one on the second path, which is kind of hilarious. But it's still good. I'm still enjoying it. I have found out that I've made my main character unit kind of broken.
Yeah.
Because I've given them the ability to counterattack if they are attacked. So it works like Fire Emblem rules when you have units battle. So like whoever initiates the attack attacks first, and then the other unit attacks next. Well, if you have them counterattack, they always go first.
Oh.
And yeah.
And so, I can see where that can be a broken thing.
And bear in mind, you have multiple options for attacks with multiple different damage outputs, and I think all mine on my main character's unit are to the point where if it's a smaller unit, they one-shot it immediately.
Yep, that was exactly where I figured that was going.
And also, this character has a map ability, or a map attack, which means you can attack multiple units on the map at the same time within a specific range.
So from what I'm hearing is that would be a good thing to have in a speed run.
Yes.
Except for you're not trying to speed run this game.
No. Actually, since we've been talking about speed runs, let me see if anyone even bothers to speed run the Super Robot Wars games.
Oh, I'm sure there's like one person.
Probably. Because I know there's one person who speed runs the Persona games. There is exactly one person.
Called it.
Literally one run. That is no DLC, beginner mode, any percent the male character instead of the female character, which there's no differences between them besides dialogue. Secret ending at 2 hours, 49 minutes, and 59 seconds.
Oh, that's actually not bad.
Yeah. I expected more because I think Persona speedrun clocks in at like 8. Let me check.
So then that actually would mean that it's close to on par with the length of Memory of Heroes.
Actually, scratch what I just said. It's like 14 because I checked Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah. Persona games are long.
I know. I've platinumed like 2 of them.
It's one of those. Them and Final Fantasy games. It doesn't surprise me to hear like 10 plus hours.
Mm-hmm. Because like the fastest things in the game are the things you optimize. The rest of it is just how fast can you get through text.
Yeah.
Luckily in Persona 5, there's just a button to like incredibly speed through text, which I think is, yeah, it's faster than mashing.
I could believe it.
You just have to press you have to be like frame 1 on your input for like the dialogue choices. So I've been going through that. I've also was playing the Metabots mobile game because they recently decided to do a Mega Man Battle Network crossover.
Ooh.
So you could get a Mega Man, a Roll, in a... I forget if it's Bass in Battle Network. I think it's Fort in Japan. I forget his English name. But the third, like, main playable character from, like, the classic Mega Mans that get introduced later on. The 3 of them as, like, Metabots characters, or Metabots units you can pick up. Unfortunately, Roll is the only one you can pick up for free by just playing through the game. Or playing through, like, the new campaign thing they rolled in. Mega Man and Bass are... on the roll or on the gotcha, which is fine because I kind of have my like main attack units picked out. I don't mind having a support unit in roll is kind of a support unit, so that's fine. I don't mind. I know I'm never gonna get him.
You don't necessarily know that.
I've rolled twice on the banner and gotten nothing.
Okay, to be fair, I didn't think I'd get the Talonflame skin, and I wound up.
Also, there are 2 separate banners for this. One, you can use your free currency. The other requires you to have paid for currency to roll on it. That's a thing I've seen in Fake Grand Order as well of, hey, here's this banner with increased odds, but you have had to have paid money for your currency. You can't just have earned it for free. No, you've got to use your paid currency because that's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't give them money, why should they give away their work? They're already giving you a free game.
This is why I really don't like mobile games.
That's actually, people have... I've been seeing articles about people complaining about Pokemon Unite and being pay to win and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know where they're seeing that. Like, in all seriousness.
I think at like the highest to high level competitive sense, there is an edge you can have.
I don't. For the simple fact of my held items, I've not put any money into that end of it, and I've got all 3 of my held items at level 20.
Right. Oh, I did see, because I was watching Tom play Unite for a little bit. Guess what the meta is in terms of like your held item?
What?
Or not the held item, the like the equipable item, I guess.
Oh, the technically ability, I guess.
Yeah, like the potions and the X speed and all that.
Yeah.
It's the eject button.
Yep.
Everyone on the team had the eject button. Everyone on the opposing team had the eject button. It is literally you use the eject button or nothing. There is literally no other like that is the best option is eject button, which I guess functions like Flash from League.
It is.
Okay.
Okay. I know why. And it actually boils down to it doesn't have Unite does not have an element that League does. And that's the shop. It has no real reason for anyone to start with a potion and then switch to like the eject button.
Yeah.
Because
you also can't swap on the fly either.
Yeah. I mean, if it had something like that, where you kind of had the shop function, I feel like that would help out too. And I think it would on more than one level. I think it would help out for a couple of reasons. It would help pull people out of the lanes to go get more upgrades. And it would kind of shake up the whole, we're just going to fight. If I can't beat you, I'm running back to my goal to get a shield.
Yeah.
That is the one thing I'm like, I like that that's different than League because it feels like it kind of forces you to actually play. But at the same time, I think the game does need something that pulls you away from the keep pushing forward. Kind of give that risk reward kind of deal. And I get it. That's what Rotom and Zapdos and all the
Dreadnought.
Yeah, Dreadnought and the 2 jungle ones are there for, but they're not enough. Really?
Yeah, because like Rotom and Dreadnought, I think are only good for like the first time they pop up, and then otherwise they are ignored. And then Zapdos is just there to end the game with.
Yeah. I feel like it needs, maybe not necessarily a shop, but it needs something that will force you to go back. Something that forces you to get out of your I'm keeping pushing forward mentality.
That isn't just dying.
Yeah.
Because there's also nothing to stop you from like just harassing someone at tower forever. Because once you have the damage output enough, you're outpowering the heal on the towers.
Yep.
A tower will not save you.
Not to mention, I've not had it happen in a PvP yet, but I'm sure someone has, because I can do it to the CPU. If you snowball quick enough, you can just shut the CPU down before they can even move.
I have had games like that against people, I think. Yeah, I have. Where they've gotten like 7 points on us, and we've gotten like several hundred. Because they couldn't stop us. And we just cycled them forever.
I'm not necessarily talking about that, because usually level-wise, you're still somewhat close.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like having a Venusaur on the CPU team and it never even evolved to Ivysaur. That kind of shut down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's happened PvP, because I feel like players aren't going to just keep pushing until they're almost dead.
I don't think I've seen that, to be honest.
But it's one of those, it's like, the game has the potential for that. And I'm like, yeah, that's the main reason why I'm like, no, there needs to be a reason to pull the player out of wherever they're at. To not just keep harassing the other team and forcing it on them.
Yeah. I have watched some stuff. I have seen the back half of Suicide Squad. The new Suicide Squad. My dad was watching it. I was in there. I sat down and watched the back half of it. Oh. Discord? Oh.
You're still there.
Okay. Discord froze for a second. But I saw that. It looked fine. Apparently my dad doesn't like it. He didn't super care for it, but eh. I've seen the first episode of the What If series that Marvel's doing.
I have too, and... Ooh. I don't know where they're going with this. Because I get that it's supposed to be one-off stuff, but boy, that feels like it's going to be more in-depth than the way they made that sound.
I believe... I know, because Geek Each Week were talking about it after we were done streaming. Because I went and listened to their podcast when we were done last night. They talked about it a little bit, and apparently from one of the writers on it, they said that Captain Carter is going to be a through line, or going to show up more. She's going to be like a main character of the series. Whatever that means in this anthology-esque series. But I also think in one of the trailers you can spot Carter talking to a Doctor Strange we've seen in a different episode. So I don't know. Maybe it's a last couple episodes kind of thing. Because I know they've already got a season 2 greenlit for this series as well as Loki.
I'm feeling like, depending on how they do that, I'm wondering if this might be their testing the waters concept.
That does not surprise me, because they do that all the time.
It's one of those, especially seeing as how a lot of the voice actors are the actors that were originally playing the characters.
Yeah. Although, strangely, they didn't ask Batista to come back to be Drax.
I mean, there's a few that they didn't.
Yeah.
But it's a case of as many as there is, I'm almost wondering if they're playing this as, if people like this, then, you know, perhaps after the Doctor Strange movie, they might actually be characters in the MCU.
I mean, I'm down for Carter leading the interdimensional Avengers.
Because it almost feels like that's what they're setting up for. is something
Granted,
of that nature.
Granted, I also feel like the first episode is like the most vanilla what if they could have ever done, because like Steve and Carter are cut from the same cloth. They're not going to do two different things from each other given the same scenario.
True, but I think it's the smaller details they're trying to hold on to there.
Yeah, because I also noticed that, like, we'll talk a little bit of spoilers here. So if you don't want to hear us get into specifics about the episode, you can mute the stream for a little bit. But Bucky was in the cells with the rest of the Howling Commandos instead of being in the separate room and being experimented on, because Hydra didn't get a sample of the serum.
At that point, he actually was locked up with the others, I thought.
No, he was in a separate room, and he clearly would have had been experimented on. And also, Bucky didn't fall in the ice.
Yeah.
Steve did. But Steve didn't go missing and become Winter Soldier, meaning we don't have a Winter Soldier in this timeline. Which means throw out half the Captain America the Winter Soldier movie.
Yes and no.
Okay, the Winter Soldier specific parts of it. Unless they are entirely recontextualized.
The reason I say yes and no, they still didn't fully resolve the fact of certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hydra's influence on S.H.I.E.L.D. going forward.
Right, because...
and minor stuff like that, so I guess it could be implied that this universe's Steve could be the Winter Soldier.
Well, here's the thing. Peggy was a part of the formation of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's not around anymore to be a part of the formation of S.H.I.E.L.D. So who formed S.H.I.E.L.D. then? If not Peggy? Also, the Hydra Stomper looks very similar to the Mark I armor.
Uh-huh.
So, how much does that affect Tony later? Because also, it's a bit more minor, but Howard's not looking for the Cosmic Cube because it's just there. So, he would maybe only be looking for Carter, but how? So how does that change his relationship with Tony? Because that's now altered. Also, the scene at the end when Carter pops back up in the present, high beginning of Avengers. If that's the case, do we not have Avengers anymore because there's no Loki? And if there's no Loki, what the fuck does that mean for like the Infinity Stones and all that going like forward? Like I said it on the podcast.
Yes,
like the most
yes and no on that one.
Yeah,
because who's to say that this might not have happened before Loki came through the Space Stone?
Because Loki blew up the facility. Or no, right. The facility self-destructed, so...
But it was because of Loki. I'd have to think that Fury had a plan in case something like that was to happen.
Right.
So... It's one of those, I'm kind of like, I wonder if maybe that was supposed to be one of those... Yeah, this stuff's still happening, but we're just gonna make it seem otherwise.
Oh, also, the Red Skull's dead, so he's not on Vormir.
Yeah.
So that's not the case. Like,
Yeah,
the
because
most interesting...
he died on Earth, not getting sucked into space.
Yeah. Like, all of the most interesting things about this what if of Carter in place of Steve as Cap, which I find it funny that she's Captain Carter instead of Captain Britain.
Yeah.
Because Captain Britain's its own separate thing that we can't use. Because we gotta save that for someone else. Yeah. That's also an X-Men thing, technically. So we're not touching that button just yet.
I mean, it's fine. They could do that one. They own the rights.
I mean, they do, but if you call Carter Captain Britain, people are going to be like, wait a minute. Because that's going to be like the first sign of X-Men stuff. Because for reference, folks, Captain Britain is the brother of Psylocke, who is, you know, a fairly prominent X-Man, or X-Woman in this case. So, I
wonder though if the real main reason might be because they are wanting to do something with the Captain Britain Corps.
I'm sure, and it's also a case of we just want her to be her own thing, so she's Captain Carter. Like, we're just going to make it simple, easy. She's Captain Carter. She's her own thing. We're not going to tie her to the legacy of anyone else. Moving on.
Of course, I guess technically it makes more sense doing it this way too.
Yeah.
Because really the main reason why Steve was called Captain America was because of his War Bond tour.
Right.
So because she didn't have that, I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's strongly implied that she was supposed to.
Yeah. Also, apparently the guy that Tommy Lee Jones played is dead because he died in the explosion at the beginning of it.
Which, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, apparently you see like a frame of him and then he dies.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't even see that. But yeah, I mentioned on the podcast, because I was in the chat, of honestly, all the most interesting things about this concept are when she gets back into the present. Because you have her opposite Tony, presumably, as leadership of the Avengers. You'll have her bouncing off Thor and Hulk and Black Widow and Hawkeye. So you have a very different relationship, especially because I feel like her and Natasha would have a very different relationship than Steve and Natasha have. Because Peggy has a bit more of that spycraft background than Steve ever did.
I mean, true.
So yeah, I guess me to say this needs to get followed up on. I need a part 2 of what if she was a part of the formation of the Avengers and we go forward from there. I don't know. Because I don't know what they're doing with it. Because I know that the first 3 episodes got reviewed by critics and folks. And I know episode 2 is T'Challa as Star-Lord episode. Because people have just straight up said that that's the episode, because apparently Chadwick Boseman, this is his final role as Black Panther. Because he recorded the audio for these episodes that he's appearing in, and that was it. Before he passed away. So he is one of the people they got back, or at least recorded audio for. All I know for the 3rd episode, though, is that it's apparently a murder mystery episode. But no one gave... I've not seen details on what the what-if part of the episode is, or what's going on in it. All I know is that apparently it is a murder mystery of some kind. And is apparently the best of the 3. from the reviews I've seen. So
that kind of description, though, I mean, if they keep the same kind of formula, at least, where it's one thing and it kind of just changes certain aspects of the main story, wouldn't that actually kind of be the pickup point for Captain Carter at that point?
Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe be the equivalent of the Winter Soldier movie kind of deal?
I mean, possibly. I know that it's not the Doctor Strange episode because that's 4, because also the What If press site, all of the Image have their season codes attached to them. So the Doctor Strange episode is 104. I believe the episode that has Tony and Killmonger together is like 6 or something. So it's neither of those episodes. I'm willing to bet at this point that it's an episode we haven't seen that's not in the trailers. Or at least it's not obviously in the trailers.
Right.
Because I also doubt it's the zombie episode. Because I'm willing to bet that that's probably one of the last episodes. If not the last episode. Because you think we're not going to end on Marvel Zombies?
Well, how many episodes is it supposed to have?
I think it might be 8.
Well then that wouldn't work either. Because I was thinking it'd be neat if they could get it somewhat close to Halloween kind of deal.
Right.
But it'd have to be like a 12-episode season or something like that, and I don't think they're going that long on any of this yet.
Correction, 9 episodes.
9, so yeah.
Yes.
That would reach to the beginning of October, maybe, actually, though?
October 6th.
Maybe?
They will go weekly.
Maybe that would be the last one, then.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see them doing that, then.
Yeah, and also the second episode is 9 episodes. I think I'm trying to remember if I read somewhere that they cut 2 episodes for budget. I want to say they said that they cut 2 episodes for budget, and I don't know if they've worked those into season 2 or those are. We'll probably get a season 3 because, like this kind of show, you're never going to run out of material.
Depending on how the movie side of things runs with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can do this exact episode 1 again, but hey, Howard, would you like to be Captain America?
He just pushes the buttons.
I mean, that wouldn't stop. Look, what I want is nonsense. I want some real bonkers nonsense from this. That's what I want. I want some dumb scenario where somehow Howard either is Captain America or somehow is Iron Man in like 1940s.
I could see the is Captain America kind of concept, because that actually could be that different drive to maybe have Tony become an Iron Man-like concept,
Right.
with the envy of his dad kind of deal, kind of doing it to spite him instead of kind of doing it to fulfill legacy.
Right. Like, I want that. I want us to go like full like Earth, I think it's like 3 from DC Comics, where we inverse heroes and villains. So we have, the Avengers we know, but they're all the villains. And thus we get, I don't know, the hero versions of like some of the villains because fuck it.
Like I say, I could see that depending on how they go with the movie's concept.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, they could technically do this forever.
Mm-hmm.
But if they write something into a movie that effectively kills the rest of the multiverse and merges it all into the main timeline, then that kind of just kills that instantly.
True. So don't do that. Leave this open. But yeah, I watched that. I still have not watched Black Widow. I need to.
I have not either.
It probably doesn't help that it didn't seem like the most interesting of movie, all things considered, which kind of sucks. But yeah, shall we talk news then?
I guess we shall.
Alright, then first up, the serious one first. Because we have a follow-up to the whole Activision Blizzard lawsuit situation. So, on top of, I believe their head HR person and one of their head board members, I believe, stepping down, a shareholder has stepped out of the company and has called the company's response inadequate. Essentially, they are going to be pushing for diversity on the board, a better response, like a better internal handling of these kind of situations in the future. What you would expect someone to handle in this situation. And they specifically want a female director, preferably one with a history of advocacy for marginalized people and communities, on the board by the end of the year. And commit to gender balance on the board by 2025.
So...
And reserve at least one board seat for an employee-selected representative. Also more, no bonuses for 2021, and to claw back bonuses from executives found to have engaged in or enabled abusive behavior, and make further bonuses contingent on the company achieving independently verified milestones for diversity. And it calls for a company-wide equity review similar to the racial equity reviews that Facebook, Airbnb, Starbucks, and BlackRock have promised. So, yeah, those are the demands of a major shareholder of Activision Blizzard at this point. And this kind of lines up with the thing I read from, I want to say it was comments from a game developer that pointed out that, yeah, you can boycott Activision Blizzard, but it's not going to make enough of a dent. But if you do not shut up about this and keep talking about it and keep this circulating in major press and all that, and you make shareholders nervous about investing in your company, that's when changes happen, because that's where the money is.
It's one of those, the changes that they're presenting, I feel like, yes, that would help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also sitting there thinking, okay, if the shareholders wanting to promote diversity, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But aren't Aren't you kind of asking them to do a little bit of discrimination when you're wanting them to add a woman director? Well, unless you're trying to do the right thing, but by promoting the wrong thing, it's like,
I mean, as long as she is qualified for the role, it's fine.
Except for here's the problem. They don't list that part of it.
Yeah.
They say, preferably one with a history of advocacy.
Yeah.
Meaning they could literally hire anyone that identifies as a woman and say they did it.
Yeah. Which defeats the entire purpose.
Yeah. And if you're already having problems with the rest of the stuff that this article is stating, yeah, you may need to put your foot down a little bit harder.
Yeah. So, I would say, let's hope Activision Blizzard makes the correct decisions. But it's entirely likely they will make all the wrong decisions. Because big corporation, they only care about making this go away as fast as possible.
No. Big corporation, they only care about money.
True.
They really don't care if the problem goes away. They care if people shut up about it enough to where they get their money.
So yeah, we shall see how this continues, as it is still ongoing. But in lighter news, some folks have decided we like Team Fortress 2, but we want it on a better engine. Can we remake this on the Half-Life engine? Or on the Half-Life Alyx engine?
So they want it on a better engine, so we're using a VR engine.
Yes. I honestly do not even know what Half-Life Alyx runs on to start with.
I mean, probably whatever the newest Source engine is.
Source 2, actually. Yeah. Yep, it's a Source 2.
I mean, Source is Steam's, or is Valve's internal engine anyhow, so I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's kind of tangentially related to this, and I forgot to put it in, but I'm not sure how accurate it is, so I didn't put it in anyway. But I want to get your thought on it. So, a report has come out that Rockstar is working on what they call remasters of the GTA 3 trilogy, more or less. So that's GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas. But they're going to put them on Unreal Engine 4. I say this again, that is remasters on Unreal Engine 4. Or at least Unreal Engine in general. Those games don't run on Unreal Engine.
It's kind of what I was thinking, because if I'm not mistaken, at the point they came out, I don't think I can't remember if the 360 can handle that or not, but I don't think it could.
These are all pre-360.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought
this is like... This is PS2 era. This would be PS2 Xbox.
Oh. Well, then, yeah, I definitely know on that, then.
Yeah. Actually, I think they're No, they're all PlayStation 2. None of them got ported to Xbox to start with.
But I'm pretty sure they have after time, though.
I honestly don't remember. I know they're on PC. Because they got PC releases. But I thought that was weird. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you port it to a completely new engine? That seems like more work. That doesn't seem like a remaster. That seems like just a flat remake. But apparently that might be that's a thing where you just take the source code and stuff and you just port it to a new engine and you just, you know, plug A into B and get it working and it's fine. Because some games actually are remasters that are just running on a new engine.
Unless it's a case of maybe there's some tools for Unreal Engine 4 that can port stuff easier.
Probably.
Because if I'm not mistaken, I know when they were redoing Halo CE, they didn't change the gameplay engine, but they did change the graphic engine. That way it could handle both.
Yeah.
That's actually why you could still technically tell a difference between even the classic view, but yeah. So maybe that's the case. Maybe they can port it all there, or maybe the game engine itself can still function on its own, but it has to use Unreal Engine 4 as like a wrapper.
But yeah, seeing this made me think about that because I saw it this past couple weeks. I do have to ask for the Team Fortress 2 thing. How much better would it be on Source 2? Because I've seen Half-Life Alyx and it doesn't look that much better. That might be just through the lens of VR, but...
As far as noticeable, I can't think it would be too much better. And that's mainly because, you know, we don't have the tech on the display side to actually do stuff like that properly.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you know, Source kind of is really good. There's a reason why Portal and Portal 2 are both done on Source, and you can tell a big difference. Same with Half-Life and Half-Life 2, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Valve actually made a pretty good engine to start with. I'm actually more surprised there's a second version, but I can tell you what they'll never be. There'll never be a third.
Yeah. So other news. So you know how the Wii U Fatal Frame game got the re-release on Switch? Apparently that's getting well received in like positive reviews and all that, you know, because it's not on a undead console.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. There was a demo for that on the Wii U back a while back, and I went ahead and downloaded it just to see, and it seemed like it was pretty good. Yeah,
the Fatal Frame games have... they've never been like the biggest like horror franchise, but I feel like it's gotten enough for people to have their attention on it. Because I'm trying to think of main Blackwater. I think it's like the 5th game in the franchise.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But because of this, there's a possibility of a new Fatal Frame now, since, you know, oh look, people like Fatal Frame. Maybe we should make another one. And this is just coming from the Fatal Frame producer Kisuke Kikuchi. He talked to Famitsu, and that's what he just laid out. Of, hey, this is doing well. I'd like to do another one of these if given the opportunity. And this is Capcom, if I recall correctly.
I believe so.
Let me double check that, because I'm pretty sure it's Capcom. Oh no, Koei Tecmo.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because Dead or Alive costumes and characters have shown up in Fatal Frame. Right. And that's Koei Tecmo. So yeah, maybe we'll get another Fatal Frame.
I could actually see it. And it almost wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't one of those things that Nintendo might be like, hey, do another one.
Be like, hey, here's a check. We'll have it for the Switch. We'll pay part of the budget. We don't mind. But other news, and it's exciting news, but there's nothing to talk about yet. We have a Pokemon Presents slated for the 18th at like 9 o'clock in the morning. That is Wednesday. And it's going to be a look at both the Diamond and Pearl remakes and Legends Arceus. It is slated for 26 minutes. So we've got a decent chunk of time to be looking at both games. I'm still surprised this wasn't an E3.
I am, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I feel like... I almost feel like Nintendo actually did need to address the elephant in the room, though.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, I'm like, I kind of am fine with Pokemon being its own thing later.
Well, it doesn't help that technically Pokemon is its own thing within the confines of Nintendo, technically.
I mean, fair.
God, finding out that that ownership of Pokemon is like complicated, and it's like, well, technically Nintendo doesn't own Pokemon. The Pokemon Company owns Pokemon. It's just Nintendo has interest in it, or has like, not like controlling interest in it, but like interest in it. So like, technically Nintendo doesn't have a full say on what happens with Pokemon in general. So it's also maybe just go, anyone who complains at Nintendo for what's going on with Pokemon, I'm like, you're complaining at the wrong people, because Nintendo doesn't have a call. Because literally it's a case of the Pokemon Company can just take Pokemon multi-platform if they wanted.
Maybe.
Maybe. It would be a fight, I'm sure. But if they wanted to, they could.
It actually might be some kind of contractual thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because for all intents and purposes, Pokemon is a second-party property for Nintendo, not a first-party property, which also explains why Pokemon tends to not like have the most representation in a lot of crossover things besides Smash.
True.
But yeah, these are coming. I'm still more interested in Arceus than the Diamond and Pearl remakes. Like, I feel like for me, they have to show me something unique to these remakes to make me interested in them. If these are just a flat head back through Diamond and Pearl as is, nothing extra, nothing new, even though every remake has something extra and new to them, I'm not interested.
Oddly enough, even Let's Go.
Yeah. Every
'Cause
remake
it
has
changed the capture method.
because like Fire Red Leaf Green had the Sevi Islands. Heart Gold Soul Silver had I forget what Heart Gold Soul Silver had. I think it had like a lot of extra post game stuff that wasn't just Kanto. And Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire had like the whole like primal evolution stuff and like getting access to all the different legendaries with the Latios and Latias mega evolutions. And episode Omega, or not episode Omega, episode Delta. That's what it was. They had episode Delta in post game, which was like an entire like I think like 6 hours or something thing you could play after you got done with the main game. So like, you know, this is the fourth in that line. Because like I would assume it's pulling more from them than it is Let's Go, maybe? Unless they're gonna do a Let's Go style remake. But there's gotta be something extra here, and I just kinda like to know, alright, what is it? Because I also doubt that these remakes are going to just not have Giratina and all that in there and work in the platinum stuff.
Fair.
Because that's also what they did for those remakes if they had a third version, is work in all the extra content from the third version into like the pairs. So it's like a remix version of the pairs games, more or less. So, but yeah, Arceus, just give me more details on it, because I'm far more interested in that one. But anything else?
No.
All right then. So, Nintendo has an official Twitter for like their stockholders meetings and stuff. And this is verified. This is officially their Twitter. So a few weeks back, they talked about the OLED model. And they kind of pretty much put a kibosh on thoughts a lot of people had about certain things. So
Yeah,
first
like
and
the
foremost,
Switch Pro.
Yeah. So first and foremost, there isn't a profit. There is not an increased profit margin with the OLED model. But they also wanted to clarify that as of this tweet, which was last month in July, there are no plans for launching any other model of the Switch at this time. So for everyone looking forward to a Switch Pro, Nintendo has flat stated to their shareholders, that's not happening.
We might get the new Switch Pro next year.
True. I have to wonder if like the...
Also,
what
yes, I called it that on purpose.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a like a combination of like, well, we're still in a pandemic. We want to sell this OLED models. We don't want to cannibalize sales from it by people going, oh, there's just a flat better model Switch performance wise. I'm just gonna get that one. And also like the material shortage that I think is kneecapping like PlayStation 5s at the moment in terms of their distribution.
I feel like it's something different. I feel like this is, and by that other statement, this is a joke. That was a joke compared to what I'm actually saying here.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like that's more trying not to kneecap their other franchises. Because
Fair.
Breath of the Wild already kind of got screwed because it got made for the Wii U and had to be ported to the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're afraid of doing that again with Breath of the Wild 2. Because it's got to almost be done.
Yeah.
It's designed for current hardware. So if they come out with an upgraded one, is it really going to do anything? Is the dev team actually going to be able to have anything set up that would utilize an upgraded system? Number one. Number two, as much development troubles as they've had out of Prime 4, and they know how big of a hype that one is, I have to think that they're more scared to up it for the same reason with it. Now, granted, I don't think Prime 4 is anywhere near as done as Breath of the Wild 2, which is why I say the whole comment about we'll get the new Switch Pro next year. Probably not. It probably will be coming, but it'll be after at least those two titles.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Prime 4 in releases and the like, as a part of a Q1 shareholders meeting, we got a nice long PDF of slides and stuff, and in that included a release schedule, an internal release schedule from Nintendo. Now, for reference, I pulled up the document itself because it's linked in the article as a PDF. It's unfortunately all the way at the bottom. It has like what was released up to the time of the meeting, and then it has page 22 if you want to skip to it, since I saw you pulled it up.
Yeah, because it's almost all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
You said all the way at the bottom. I scroll all the way to the bottom. I'm like, it's not here. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. We have a schedule divided by region, which there's some odd things about the region, and I think it just might be how the list is formatted for some stupid reason, because I'm like, that's not right. Where are you everywhere else on one of these? But for the most part, it's fairly same across the board. So you've got the OLED model coming out in October 8th. Just hardware wise, that's the only thing listed here hardware wise. Software wise, you've got Skyward Sword, which is coming out last month on the 16th. WarioWare Get It Together, which is coming out next month on the 10th. And then you've got Dread coming out October 8th. The Mario Party Superstars coming out on the 29th. But here's the weird part. You get Diamond and Pearl remakes coming out on November 19th across the board. Until you go to the European, and then before those on the 12th is listed as Shin Megami Tensei 5. That's coming out on all regions. Why is it just on the Europe end? I'm confused. Because I believe that's the release.
A good question.
I believe that's the international release date. Okay, correction. In Japan, it is coming out on November 11th. Worldwide, it's the 12th. Technically. According to Wikipedia, so
it's coming out the 12th. It's just the time frame that it's coming out makes it the day before.
Yeah. And then next across the board is a bit odder, because then you have Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp on December 3rd for the US and Europe, but it's not listed in the Japanese list. The next one there is actually Arceus, which is the next one for everything, coming out on the 28th of January next year. And then Splatoon 3 is slated for next year across the board. The sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is still apparently the working title for it. We don't even have Project Breath of the Wild sequel. It's this big, long, stupid thing. Is slated for next year. Project Triangle Strategy is listed for the United States and Europe as next year, but not in Japan. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is listed in Japan for next year, but not everywhere else for some reason. And then Bayonetta 3 is to be announced, which is not surprising. We've heard from Platinum themselves that you should forget we announced Bayonetta 3 because it's back to the drawing board for us on that one. And then Metroid Prime 4, which is apparently a temporary title because I guess they're going to give it a subtitle then, is also to be announced. And then lastly is the Zelda Game & Watch coming out on November 12th.
But yeah. This goes right back to what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like they're scared they're going to kneecap two of their big hitters.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm wondering if they would do maybe not necessarily a sequel to Odyssey, but another Mario game utilizing the Switch Pro. Because I'm sorry, there's been enough talks. We saw Nintendo do it last gen with the handhelds. It's gonna happen, especially if they want the Switch to be long term. Like we're either gonna have one of two things. We're either gonna have it be a Switch Pro that they're gonna release to prolong the life of it, or we're gonna have a new Nintendo console coming out after Prime 4.
Right.
That's gonna be the two options there. I think it's going to be after, though, because of the simple fact of I don't think they're going to kneecap them.
Yeah. Also, I forgot. I played the Pokemon Snap update. The free update they put out. 3 new courses, 20 Pokemon. 2 of the courses are unlocked immediately. The third course you have to unlock. You just have to play through the first level, get to a specific tree trunk, scan it, and then you shrink down and you take pictures of Pokemon while you were tiny. I say that because they listed sales figures for a few different titles. Pokemon Snap has like 2.7 million units.
Huh.
I'm assuming that's total units.
Probably.
Mario Golf sold 1.34 million units. And this is for just this year. But apparently Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Animal Crossing New Horizons sold 1.69 and 1.26 million units this year.
I could see it. Because look at most of your commercials for a Switch.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually showcasing both games.
Yeah.
So chances are people are going to buy those games when they buy a Switch. I mean, to be fair, I can't really blame them.
Yeah.
I got 8 Deluxe when it came out, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's the right update that it needed, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll have to see how things go for our titles. Seeing Splatoon 3 confirmed for next year is like, oh, that's not surprising. I wonder if it will be summer of next year.
Yep.
I wonder.
It'll be July of next year.
I wonder if I'm right when I'm like, oh, Splatoon 3 will come out around the same time that Splatoon 1 and 2 have come out. And then Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out around the exact same time that Breath of the Wild 1 came out.
Maybe on that one.
Yeah. It probably won't.
I feel like in all seriousness, it's going to depend on when Prime 4 is going to be able to be out.
Yeah.
Because that's going to shift Breath of the Wild 2 to a certain point. And it might, because see, that's something too, the trilogy's never been brought up. That's all been fan speculation.
Yeah.
Outside of that one report that we got before we got the teaser for 4.
Mm-hmm.
If the trilogy's a thing, that might also push stuff around too. I feel like, though, at this point they would say something.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since they have kind of been like, yeah, we are doing Metroid stuff. Don't forget about it.
Yeah.
I get they're not going to kneecap Dread, though.
I wonder if once Dread's out, maybe they will sneak something in Dread as like a teaser for Prime.
I don't know if they'll do that. Or if we'll go a different route. They'll let Dread be out long enough for people to get their hands on it and have kind of let the hype wear down.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe just start pushing the trilogy and have Dread unlock something in it or something like that. Kind of like they did Fusion with Prime 1 back in the day.
Yeah, that too.
Because since it's the same console, it'd be easy.
Yeah.
If you've got Dread's save data, then you could import it into the trilogy and go from there.
What if it's just, hey, you unlock the Dread suit for the Prime trilogy?
I mean, that's all Fusions was.
Yeah.
But you had to go through the whole convoluted mess of hooking a GBA up to the GameCube to get it then. Whereas now it's just, oh, you've got the save data? Here.
Maybe it'll unlock that too, just to be like, hey, you get the Fusion one because, you know, Dread's the follow-up to Fusion. And I don't know, if it's got registration of you beating the game, maybe, instead of just having a save data, here's the Dread costume while you're at it.
What if it's inverse?
Ooh.
You get the Dread suit just for having save data, but you get the Fusion suit for having a completed save file.
Ooh, that would... I can see some people being very annoyed by that. Granted, by the time you get the Prime Trilogy, I'm sure you will have beaten Dread, so...
At that point, more than likely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you wouldn't have to you have to get 100% or anything like that. Just beat final boss kind of concept.
Yeah.
Something that most people would normally do without even thinking about it, kind of deal.
You must beat Metroid Dread in under 4 hours in order to get the Fusion suit.
Oh, they ain't gonna go that far.
We require you to speedrun video game to unlock costume in a completely different game.
That would be screwed up.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that is that's the news for the weeks, folks. Like I said, not a whole lot. But we've got releases. So we kick off on the 16th with Road 96 for Switch, Volleyball Challenge for Switch, and What Remains of Edith Finch on iOS. On the 17th, Greek Memories of Azure for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and Switch. Humankind for Stadia, Pile Up Box by Box for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch. And Space Invaders Invisible Collection for Switch. On the 18th, Mayhem Brawler for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Mortal Shell, The Virtuous Cycle for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. Out of Line for Switch. Rogue Explorer for Switch. Swords and Souls Never Seen for Switch. Tetris Effect Connected for PlayStation 4 and Oculus Quest. And World Soccer Strikers 91 for Xbox One. On the 19th, Businessons for Switch, Mayhem Brawler for Switch, Metal Commando for Switch, Monster Train Fighter First Class for Switch, Recompile for Series X and PlayStation 5, Rims Racing for Switch, Rush Rally Origins for Switch, Sakura Succubus 4 for Switch, the Valve Shadow of the Crown for Xbox One, 12 Minutes for Xbox One and Series X, Where's Samantha for Switch, World Soccer Strikers 91 for Switch, and Zombo Busters Advance for Switch. On the 20th, Arietta of Spirits for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch. City Driving Simulator 2 for Switch. Fract for PlayStation 4. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Iki Island and Iki Island for PlayStation 4 and 5. And Ghost of Tsushima Legends for PlayStation 5. Heart Chain Kitty for Switch. And Madden NFL 22 for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, 5, and Stadia. And Space Scavenger for Switch. On the 21st, Hoa for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. On the 22nd, Adventure Field 4 for Switch, and Rims Racing European Manufacturer Deluxe and Japanese Manufacturers Deluxe for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. And then Rim Racing Ultimate Edition for Xbox One, Series X, and PlayStation 5. On the 24th, Aliens Fireteam Elite for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. Hoa for PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch. I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy in the Lair for PlayStation 4 and Oculus Quest. King's Bounty 2 for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch. Rims Racing for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch. Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 Contracts for PlayStation 5. And on the 25th, Darker Skies for Xbox One and Series X. Marvel Future Revolution for Android and iOS. Masks of Mist for Xbox One. Next Termination Force for Xbox One, Murder Mystery Machine for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch, Phenotopia Awakening for Xbox One, Series X, and Psychonauts 2 for Xbox One, Series X, and PlayStation 4, finally coming out after being in development forever.
Yeah.
On the 26th, Garden Ponds for Switch, Green Phoenix for Switch, Have a Blast for Switch, Hermitage Strings, Keys Files for Switch, Hotel Life, a Resort Simulator for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch, Instant Farmer for Switch, Man's Mystery, The Secret of Dragonville for Switch, Off the Road Unleashed for Switch, Spelunky for Switch, Spelunky 2 for Switch, Space Hunter DX, or Star Hunter DX for Xbox One, Traffic Jams for PlayStation 4, Tropico 6 Festival for Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and Wild Bus for Switch. And finally, on the 27th, American Fugitive for PlayStation 4 and Switch, Baldo for Switch, Baldo the Guardian Owls for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Switch, and iOS, Ink to Tale of Love for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch, No More Heroes 3 for Switch, Space Station Sprint for Xbox One, Star Renegades for PlayStation 4 and Switch, Tormented Souls for Series X and PlayStation 5, and Zophis for the Xbox One. Ugh. It's only going to get worse from here, folks. We're ramping up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was slow to load for me for some reason. So, quick draws. I wanted to shout out Mullinus over on the Soto Pop Discord. Finally finalized his Sotokun base figure. What this is, it is a fully 3D printed Soto scale base figure. It's about like 4¼ inches. But for like $4, you can print out all the parts and assemble together yourself a little base figure. It also comes with different hand options for left and right. And the driver on it is removable. But I am currently working on printing this. Also the shoulder joints come in a shoulder pad and no shoulder pad variant. So if you don't want it to have shoulder pads, you can have it not have shoulder pads. And the little driver is removable. But I'm working on 3D printing all this just so I can see how all this works. So I can then reverse engineer a lot of this into making my own Soto figure eventually. I hope.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I forget how many different files it is. Let me pull it up real quick.
I'd say quite a bit.
It is 23 different individual files. Or when I say files, it's 23 individual STL files, which are essentially your CAD model files you'd be using to print. Which you can imagine, there's, for a lot of these, there's the left version and the right version of them, so it quickly adds up after a while. Thankfully, they've all been fairly fast to print. I just need to print them correctly because I made the stupidest mistake of putting the boots directly onto the surface of the printer and printing them. Guess what happens when you do that? They stick to the thing you put them on, so they're unusable. So I had to reprint a shoe or one of the boots. Yeah, maybe I'll get this all printed by next CGS and be able to show it off in actual person or in person. But that's all I had. You didn't have a quick trial, correct?
Correct.
Alright, then that'll do us for this week. But tomorrow, it's a double feature of 2 movies. Quote-unquote movies, because one of them is not really a movie. I watched it.
Yeah, it's a movie plus an episode.
I would argue it's less than that, because I have watched it today. This is like the Cliff Notes version of a movie that probably existed. I would not be surprised if I have very few notes for the Saber movie tomorrow. Because there is I am not exaggerating when I'm there. Like, there is not a whole lot to this movie. There really isn't. So we've got that in Real X time. And then Thursday, we pick up Case 3 of Great Ace Attorney. Friday, we continue Four Swords Adventure. I can't say the title correctly.
Yeah, not Sword Four's Adventure.
Yeah. And then Saturday will be a thing of some kind to be determined. Eventually.
I might YOLO and say, why not do Memory of Heroes?
Yeah. But that'll be Saturday, and that brings us around to next Sunday when we start Deno, which means I've got work for myself this week because I need to get Deno downloaded and uploaded to the drive. Yay, me. But anywho, if you like what you've seen, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chipping away at that affiliate goal. At TGZoon on Twitter gets you updates when we're live. Exclamation point Discord and chat gets you Discord link. Drop by, say hi. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.